When we think of America or the United States today, our minds immediately picture dazzling technological cities, towering skyscrapers, and a global superpower. But deep within this modernity lies a history thousands of years old. Roughly 15,000 to 20,000 years ago, when much of the Earth was covered in ice, a group of people crossed the Bering Land Bridge from Asia and stepped onto this new continent. Today we know them as Native Americans or indigenous peoples. Long before Europeans arrived, hundreds of independent tribes thrived across North America, alongside the great Maya, Aztec, and Inca civilizations further south. They possessed their own rich cultures, languages, and systems of governance, living in perfect harmony with nature. However, at the end of the 15th century, their peaceful world changed forever. In 1492, the Italian navigator Christopher Columbus, funded by the Spanish monarchy, set sail in search of India, but mistakenly arrived in the Caribbean islands. Believing he had reached India, he called the local inhabitants Indians. While Columbus was not the first European to reach the Americas, the Vikings had arrived centuries earlier. His voyage opened the floodgates for European exploration. What followed was a new chapter of colonization. Spain, France, and particularly Great Britain began establishing colonies across the region. In 1607, the English built their first permanent settlement at Jamestown. Shortly after, in 1620, a group of pilgrims aboard the ship Mayflower arrived at Plymouth. Over time, 13 powerful British colonies flourished along the Atlantic coast. The economy of these colonies relied heavily on agriculture and tobacco farming. To sustain this, millions of people were forcibly captured from Africa and brought over in chains, marking the beginning of a dark and brutal era of slavery. By the mid-1700s, the British Crown began imposing heavy taxes on the colonies to pay off war debts. However, the American colonists had no representatives in the British Parliament. Outraged, the colonists raised the rallying cry, "No taxation without representation." This resentment erupted into open rebellion during the Boston Tea Party of 1773, where angry colonists dumped shipments of British tea into the harbor. Finally, in 1775, the American Revolutionary War began. The 13 colonies united to form the Continental Army, led by General George Washington. On July 4, 1776, the Declaration of Independence, drafted by Thomas Jefferson, was adopted in Philadelphia, giving birth to a new nation, the United States of America. After 8 years of grueling warfare, and with vital assistance from France, the Americans defeated the British in 1783 to secure full independence. In 1789, George Washington became the nation's first president. Following its independence, America rapidly expanded westward, known as the Westward Expansion. However, this growth brought a fierce and polarizing debate to the forefront: the issue of slavery. The northern states were highly industrialized and favored the abolition of slavery, while the southern states were agrarian and their entire economy depended on slave labor. When Abraham Lincoln, an outspoken opponent of slavery's expansion, was elected president in 1860, 11 southern states seceded from the Union to form the Confederate States. This triggered the American Civil War in 1861, the bloodiest conflict in the nation's history. Over the course of 4 years, the war claimed the lives of roughly 600,000 Americans. President Lincoln used his extraordinary vision to preserve the Union and issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, effectively bringing an end to slavery. The war concluded in 1865 with a Union victory, but just days later, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by a Confederate sympathizer. Binding its wounds after the Civil War, America plunged into the Industrial Revolution. Innovators and entrepreneurs like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and John D. Rockefeller propelled the American economy to the top of the global stage. In the 20th century, 2 world wars fundamentally altered America's destiny. While the United States initially stayed out of both conflicts, it eventually joined the Allies in both instances, securing victory. After the end of World War II in 1945, America emerged as an undefeated global superpower, both economically and militarily. This set the stage for the Cold War, a prolonged geopolitical standoff with the Soviet Union. As part of this intense rivalry, America successfully sent the first humans to the Moon during the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. With the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the United States stood alone as the world's sole superpower. In the 21st century, America has faced complex new challenges. The devastating terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, commonly known as 9/11, fundamentally reshaped the nation's security and foreign policies. Years later, the election of Barack Obama as the first African-American president marked a massive milestone in the country's ongoing social evolution. Today, from the technological innovations of Silicon Valley to the cultural dominance of Hollywood, America's influence spans the entire globe. In a history spanning just over 2.5 centuries, America has witnessed the darkness of slavery and the displacement of Native Americans. Yet it has also championed freedom, democracy, and modern science. This intricate tapestry of diversity, struggle, and relentless progress is the true story of America.